Oh, that was not me forgetting to activate the intro. Nope. Hi, everybody. It's Friday night again. Hello, Nikki. Hello, Alex.
Oh,
Pal. I don't know why anytime somebody says pal, pal, like I immediately add, like, hey, pal. I don't like, is there a
welcome to
way,
the party, pal.
right? Like, is there a way, like, have you ever called somebody pal in a positive way? Well, I can't think of a single circumstance where I'd go, hey, pal. It would always be like, hey, pal, the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's always a pal, fuck you. Like, that's what comes after you call
Yeah,
somebody pal.
Nikki. It is Nikki's fault.
She says it like, hey, pal. Is that the kind of like the whole, like, what's up,
I
pal?
can't remember what it was, but she sent me a text and it was like, "Hey, pal," and I was like, "What's up, pal?" And she stopped for whatever reason.
Maybe I'm just a huge piece of shit, but if I was like walking down the sidewalk and somebody was like, hey, pal, I'd be like, what the fuck did you just say to me? Like it would be an immediately like, I'm not your fucking pal, pal. And then we'd start fighting probably. Yeah, we are here. We are ready to kiss your mom and eat spaghetti. We're here for an episode. We
Okay,
are doing a wrestling day. Ready to Rumble in the Iron Claw, which I think we know which movie we're going to
lucha
review
libre.
first. The Iron Claw. No, Ready to Rumble will be the first movie we are reviewing.
Yeah, Nikki, I know it wasn't
No,
negatively.
I take everything negatively. Like I said, if I was walking down the street and some guy was like, "Hey, pal," I'd be like, at the minimum, he'd be like, "You talking to me?" You know, like, the fuck you talking to? Better be your fucking friend across the street. And then once again, you know, he spits in my face. I elbow smash his nose out of his face. It's just it's what happens. That's life, guys. Especially in the big city. We don't have the luxuries of things like being able to live in our houses anymore. People can just come in and steal them. So you got to fight for what's yours.
I don't
I
think
do
in
that.
Chicago though. Is that true in Chicago?
I think it varies state by state. I also like, I think it's a lot of people who are going away on vacation and people who own Airbnbs. Like, basically, in some of these states, if you can make it known, like, if you can get a bill in your name in that address, and like the first fucking thing I would do would start applying to credit cards with that address on it. You know how much junk mail you're gonna get with that fucking address and your name on it?
Mhm.
And basically, if you have that in some states, it's kind of claimed to like, well, you weren't here, you abandoned it. It's like, I didn't abandon the property. I went to Maui on a fucking honeymoon. It's like, well, you abandoned your property by law, and these fucking people moved in and they've been taking care of the place. And it's like,
They
there's
changed
shit
the
in that
locks.
corner. They haven't been doing anything. We have plumbing. Why are they shitting in the corner? I don't get it. All I know is flamethrowers is what I'd start investing in. Just like in arachnophobia, it gets rid of spiders, other insects, squatters. Maybe the house burns down, but it's not yours anymore anyway. Who
It
gives a
also
shit?
melts snow on the sidewalk.
Does that mean they get the bill? Like, let's say you have a mortgage on it and they take a. Can you just, like, what if you're underwater on it? Can you just be like, bye, and just leave and it's on them?
But then it would still be a whole year or so before before they get evicted from the bank or whatever.
Well, like that's what I would do, right? Like if I was underwater on the house and this was going on, or I had squatters in there, I would literally sign paperwork to be like, you know what, guys, you've won. It's your house. This is the deed. I'm going to sign it over to you, and also make them sign the loan transfer paperwork. And then I would be gone. I would scam the scammers. I'd go buy another property. I'd invite squatters in, and then I'd do the same fucking thing to them. I'd be the anti-squatter squatter. I would live in hotel rooms. Fuck it.
I would
I'm gonna
just
go.
buy house. If I was rich enough, I would buy houses just filled with traps
Yeah.
and just let squatters come in.
Do you
Like
like
Saw.
this house? How much are you willing to bleed to live here?
We're going to play a game.
There are two doors down this hallway. One of them leads to, well, find out. Both of them are bad, by the way.
Yeah.
That's the type of Saw villain I would be. There would be no good escape. Like there wouldn't be a way out. Like there, no matter what, you're fucked. Like you think I'm gonna let you out of here? Come on. I have a
Can you
wood chipper in
imagine?
my backyard. You're done.
Can you imagine if our TV shows were like the Running Man, where Deal or No Deal, or not Deal or No Deal? Let's Make a Deal with Wayne Brady, where they have to choose like behind the door curtains or whatever. They get whatever, and they end up getting fucking murder rooms and shit.
Oh, you got Dynamo. Like, wait, what the fuck? What are you talking about? There's a remake of that movie coming out starring Sebastian. What's his name? Is it Dan? Winter Soldier.
Okay,
The guy. He was Tommy Lee. Tommy Lee in the
Bucky.
Bucky. There you go. Yeah, it's the starring role. Now I don't know
Okay.
what they're doing with it because so here's my thing, right? Like they could be remaking the movie or they can be rebooting the movie more in the vein of the book. That's two separate things. For me, I'd like to reboot the movie, but I have a feeling this one is going to be more rebooting or retelling of it more in line with the book. Which I don't know. I love the original movie. It's just got that 80s shittiness meets 80s awesomeness. Like, yeah, I mean, how many one-liners comes out of that movie alone? Like, what is that one? Here, Victor, Sub-Zero, now Plane Zero. And the guy's literally fucking blood is gushing out of his throat from getting killed via barbed wire, and he's just making puns.
Who Loves You and Who Do You Love? That's a famous
Yep.
house song, Chicago house song.
Oh, is it really?
It's from that movie, yeah.
Well, I mean,
It's
I love
time
those
to
scenes.
start running. Yeah, they put that in there.
That's in there too, yeah.
And then, you know, that movie's so full of just 80s shittiness charm where it's like the end of it when he's like, Schwarzenegger's kind of just slowly walking up to Killian. It's not Killian. Just so we all know, it's not Killian. It's Killian. And he's just walking up to him and then he gets behind his bodyguard. The bodyguard in real life is Schwarzenegger's training partner. And he gets behind him and he goes, I guess I have to score some more steroids. And he just fucking walks away.
Leaves him there.
Which is, it's a callback to earlier in the film when he's like, what were you doing? Getting steroids or some shit like that. I don't know. But yeah, no, amazing movie. Watch the original. The new one might suck balls. I don't know. I'm not looking forward to it. I'll see what it looks like when the trailer hits. What have you guys been watching? Anything fun? Besides this depressing... It's just such a fucking 50-50 week of movies. We got fucking super stupid with one movie, and then you've got super downer with another. I guess it's a good pairing in that, right? You got a yin and a yang. We'll go into
It's
why
all
it's a
wrestling.
fucking downer.
It's all wrestling.
Technically, although I'd like to say Ready to Rumble has very little to do with actual wrestling. And at least Iron Claw, there's history and real behind that story. Ready to Rumble's just... I mean, you know what I want to do? I want to watch Ready to Rumble and splice in the footage when Arquette takes a fucking light bulb to his throat. then we can see the real fucking wrestling he was involved in. The one that almost killed him.
With Nick Gage.
Yeah, Nick Gage is another fucking dumbass, though. I mean, you ever notice how these hardcore wrestlers, all good, we all kind of talk like, they all have they all talk that way. They're all mouth breathers.
Well, this mouth breather's missing a few teeth, though. Nick Gage is missing a few teeth.
Of course
and
he is.
brain cells and...
And here's the thing is, what else is he qualified to do in life? He's put himself in a hole. Like, you make you make whatever little money you've made over your career out of beating the shit out of yourself and others.
And robbing banks.
And crime, apparently. And then it's like, that's the guys that are working at Home Depot. Where you're like, hey, man, where's the cedar? And he's just like, what? And I'm like, the fucking cedar! And he's like, we've got oak over there. Like, those guys are the guy from Fifth Element who's like deaf or some shit. And he's like, the gun! And he throws him balls. Like, that's every hardcore legend wrestler that isn't fucking named Mick Foley. You guys watch the Dark Side of the Ring Sandman? He's at least still got some wits about him. But he's another beaten to fucking hell guy that's just a bag of bones and flesh.
He's greater foreheads and shit.
You know, thank God New Jack is dead. That piece of shit.
Yeah.
Another hardcore legend. You ever notice how the fans love hardcore legends that are all pieces of human garbage? Mick Foley, the guy, what is his vice? He dresses up as fucking Santa Claus. Little weird, sure. But who is he hurting? New Jack is like, I'm gonna stab this motherfucker. And start stabbing the guy and trying to kill him in ring.
And I'm gonna throw him off and I'm gonna miss the table on purpose. Motherfucker.
Yeah, hardcore legends are always the biggest pieces of shit. No, that's not always true. And sorry, this is going to be a wrestling episode, but you do have guys like Bradshaw, who was a notorious bully in the WWE, and you know, he was a piece of shit.
Until he got his shit clocked, fucking his clock cleaned a few times.
Steven Richards taken for the Blue Meanie. If you're all familiar with that incident, Steven Richards, I think, is one that delivered the receipt to him with that chair. I don't think the Blue Meanie actually got to do it. So Bradshaw, for real, just started beating the shit out of a wrestler who came from ECW. Right, it was during a battle royal type thing, and he bloody,
bleeding in the nose and everything.
Fucking battered. And they had, I guess, meetings in the back, and Bradshaw apologized. But in the wrestling biz, there's something called receipts. If you want to see a really good receipt, look up Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman receipt. Literally, Strowman gets overzealous. Lesnar's on his knee, and Strowman just knees Lesnar right in the fucking head. So when Lesnar gets back up, he literally just tags him. Probably gives him 70%. And Strowman's on his ass. And a receipt is, hey, you fucked up. You're playing too hard, and now I get my turn to play a little hard. And so yeah, I think Stevie Richards got the receipt on Bradshaw for that one and just walloped him in the head with a fucking chair. I mean, with bad intent. He would have probably have liked to put him in a coma.
And I think Steve Blackman was also another one that fucking.
Well, Steve Blackman, you didn't fuck with because that man could kill you.
He was called the lethal weapon for a reason.
Yeah, he was. He, from all accounts, was the nicest guy unless you fucked with him. And then, with very little ease, from the understanding is he could have murdered you. Like all of the wrestlers of that era, it's him, and then the era before that was Samu. You know, before him, Harley Race was the type of guy that would, you know, put his thumb in your fucking eye in a bar skirmish. There was legitimate dudes in wrestling that, sure, it's all predetermined and scripted, whatever. They can fucking kill you. I mean, they're legit, not even badasses, just legit murderers.
One of them that they portrayed in the movie, I didn't think they did a good job of it, but it was Harley Race. He was also one of those guys that just fucking.
Fat Harley Race?
That's what I wrote it in my notes. I was like, Harley Race wasn't fucking fat.
So we're going to be going into Iron Claw now at the review as we're talking about this shit. Yeah, I didn't understand. Like, not only was he fat, but he was older looking than he looked in that era. I didn't understand the casting.
He was never old back. Well, he was old back then, but he had just like blonde hair. Like he had that really blonde hair.
I mean, Ric Flair's casting was awful as well.
Yeah.
His character, whoever portrayed him, I was like, dude.
I know we were going to do Ready to Rumble first, but we've already kind of jumped into Iron Claw, so we'll do that one first.
Yeah. MJF, I think, did a pretty good job for what they kept in their movie. He was Lance. He was Lance Von Erich. He was the cousin, Fritz. Mm-hmm. That was when all the rest when one of his sons, I think two of his sons died already. He needed to bring something fresh back to the name of Von Erich, so he hired some guy to play the cousin of Lance. And then the guy, they didn't talk about it there. And they recorded everything, they filmed it,
what scene
but they never put it in
the movie.
He was tagging with Kevin, and when Kevin was reaching out for the tag, he never tagged him, and he pinned the guy, and Kevin was like, "Oh, I guess we won."
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was MJF, huh?
Yeah.
I do give credit to MJF. He got pretty bulky for this movie, and then has kept up that new physique pretty well.
He was also a producer of this movie. He was a big investor. He was a big investor in this.
Before we start talking about the history and the real of it, I will say, on the base premise of an indie movie, which is, I don't think it was a big budget, right?
Oh, that I'd never checked.
I wouldn't assume this was a super large budget. I'd imagine Zac Efron made more than the budget the fucking movie took. But it's a good indie type flick. It's a good mix of a movie.
15 million.
50, yeah, it's a lower budget. It's a good mix of a movie as far as just watchability, pacing, investment in the characters. It's well done. It's well shot. There's some really good shots. There's a surprisingly good amount of the actual wrestling moves being highlighted and how they're shot and done pretty well. Just on the base premise of like what makes a movie enjoyable to me, I think it's a pretty good movie, to the point where, you know, I think I didn't watch it with Jen, and I think she might have enjoyed it on the level of it just being an overall pretty decent movie, which I give them credit, because, you know, biographies are generally not this vibe. It's a little different. This one went, no, we're going to tell the story, but it is very much filmed kind of like an indie movie in the respect of the angles and just the way it's shot, frankly. It's like new old school indie.
It was 2 hours and 15 minutes too, so.
Was it that
the
long?
scene jumping, the way it jumped from tragedy to positivity was really well done. I mean, it made you feel a certain way when you're watching the movie.
Well, it's hard not to feel bad for Kenny when literally his best friends and brothers are dying around him. You know,
Kevin?
Was it Kevin at the end?
Yeah.
Kenny. Oh, yeah, Kevin. They had so many of these goddamn kids. You got Kevin, Carrie. What was the dude from the beef? What was his name?
So David was the first. David.
He's the tall one, right?
Kevin, Carrie, and Mike are the ones that they show.
Mhm.
And then the brother the little brother that they never met. But there was also Chris that was missing.
One of the big. I wonder why they chose to do that. Do you think that he just wanted nothing to do with it?
I read up on it. It said that they did it because they did it for time constraints. They didn't want to, but it's stupid because
2 hours and 15 minutes already from what they left in. They may have had a point.
That's what I was thinking too. Like it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. Why did they just do the extra 15 minutes and put put Chris in there?
What capacity was he? Was he a wrestler too?
He was a wrestler too. Yes. He was the youngest brother of all of them, and he was also a wrestler and
I will say
had his demons.
Much like Michael Keaton's Ray Kroc in that McDonald's movie, you really hate the father by the end of this film.
Oh yeah. That guy's an asshole.
And the one scene that really stood out for me, as far as like you kind of get the feeling like, yeah, he's hard on him, but he loves him. And then that scene of where he just openly discusses his rankings of them.
Yes, that's right at the beginning,
and talks about how it, you know how it goes, it changes. What a fucked up thing to tell your children.
My favorite is Carrie, Kevin, David.
Yeah, and then you know that, but you can climb up like he's a gym coach.
Yeah, he was a true promoter.
He's fucking had his shit. And I gotta say, the mother, not much better.
She was very much like, it's not my problem.
Yeah, he's in the back. Him and Mikey are putting up a fence, and Kevin's looking at him, going, "Wow, he's really being a piece of shit to Mikey. Like Mikey's not. Mikey's different. He's not this. He's not us. They all know it. They all knew it.
Yep."
And he even tells the old lady, and she's like, I stay out of their business. And it's like, no, dude, you're the fucking mother, and you let him run this like it's a boot camp. Like, you're both pieces of shit. And in that realm, they kind of deserved all their children dying, and the only surviving member hating them.
The nail in the coffin for me with the dad was when Kevin finds Carrie, and the dad tells him, he called you, it's your fault.
Yeah, that was fucked up.
Kevin was the only one that told him, like, you shouldn't be going to Japan. Like, you need to go. You need to go to a hospital. Yeah, to David, he told him you shouldn't, and then David dies of a fucking bowel, explosion, basically?
Yeah, his intestines explode, ruptured. It's something with an E, I can't say it, but yeah, ENT or something like that.
But yeah, basically his intestine opened up in his stomach, and he poisoned himself to death via the acids and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so he dies overseas. Then you have his younger brother, who is going to be an Olympian, and then that's when tensions with Russia were at high, so that Olympics got canceled. And so he gets sent back home, gets into the family business. He's pill popping, he's in pain. And I think okay, can I say this? Did anyone else think the motorcycle accident wasn't well handled in this movie?
Yeah, it wasn't. But I knew about it though, but it wasn't.
It just, like, even the way they did it, I feel like you still could have done it that realm, but done it better. Like, talk about, like, oh, we don't have, you're already at 2 hours and 15 minutes. You can't show his recovery at all?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it literally goes from, he's fucking the guy of Sons of Anarchy at the end of the fucking show.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, he's on crutches. He must be in pain from wrestling. And you're like, oh, no, wait. As he goes for his Fruitios, he's only got 1 foot. Okay. I see. That was a sloppy choice in the filmmaking. And I didn't like that. I didn't think they handled it properly. I didn't think the biggest part I had an issue with is they didn't give it the gravity it deserved. You know, like think about Lieutenant Dan when he first sees he has no legs. It's kind of like oh fuck, he's got no legs.
Yeah.
This was just kind of like, oh yeah, figures. I knew he got no motorcycle because you had to guess because you didn't fucking know.
But you know, everybody knew that he had a motorcycle accident, and not everybody knew that his foot was amputated. He even wrestled, and I don't think everybody. I don't even think the WWE knew that he had an amputated foot.
Well, that is kind of the crazy thing that they show is like he's still in the ring. He's still, you know, they're still watching him on TV, and it's like, fuck, dude, like good for him. But like, and then they do even show the struggle of him like trying to get used to the fake foot and just the pain it was causing him and everything.
Yeah.
And it's a sad story because he comes home, you know, pill pops, he drinks, and dude, what killed him? Was it an overdose?
No, he shot himself in the chest with the gun he gifted his dad.
Did I miss the gun?
Yeah, when he came back home for Christmas.
On the floor.
Next to the tree. Next to the tree, yeah.
But it was the argument he had with his father. He's like, you need to shoot it. And he's like, I'm not going to shoot it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was clearly on roid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The younger brother that played the guitar, the one that was
Mike,
the one that liked the band. Yeah, he's the one that pill popped and stuff.
That's right. And then poor him, his first match, he fucking shatters his shoulder, gets an infection, goes into a coma, comes out, and he's a little off now. Fuck, man. And it really is such a tragic. That's what I'm saying. Like, the story is so tragic that if somebody wrote this, I would need to see their living conditions. Like, I need to, like, I don't imagine you walk into their apartment and there's flowers. I just kind of imagine everything's painted black and, like, vampire red. It's not a real color, but you know what I mean when I say vampire red. It's got a little bit of black and tint in it. Yeah.
It's just a one room with a fucking bed and a table.
Yeah, and a bottle of whiskey on a fucking the table next to the typewriter.
And a black ashtray overfilled with cigarette butts.
For real, like, okay, so what you're saying is the guy who wrote this, if it were a movie, is Secret Window. He's fucking Alan Wake, who's writing this movie if it wasn't a biography. It's so fucking depressing. And you know what? I was wrong. I made fun of the fact that we're doing Ready to Rumble, but I honestly can't think of a better fucking movie to pair it with when you're talking about, like, the idea of, honestly, guys, Iron Claw is a solid fucking movie. I really, I think the movie's well done, from a movie perspective. But it's a sad fucking story, and I think guys like Alex, who actually were wrestling fans of that era that got to see these guys, maybe obviously not in the local, you know, I doubt you got. Did you get to watch any of the NWA shit? I doubt it.
I did not get to watch them live, but I did get to watch them on ESPN. I did get to see that match that Kerry won the belt against Ric Flair, and I did get to see Kevin Von Erich, some of the matches with him and Gino Hernandez at the beginning.
Okay.
So I did get to see those kinds of matches on ESPN.
So I'm not familiar with Gino at all. Like, I knew the other one was, what was it, Bruiser Brody, right?
Yeah, Bruiser Brody. Yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah, and I didn't know who Gino. I know Bruiser Brody was another one that was known for behind the scenes just being a rough shit. The
reason why you probably don't know Gino Hernandez is because he ended up being murdered later on. Is that
the guy in Puerto Rico that Hulk Hogan talked about? Oh,
no, okay. Bruiser Brody was the one in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, you ever hear that Hulk Hogan story?
No, I didn't hear the Hogan one.
It was I believe it was Puerto Rico. He went over and performed. They didn't pay him. He went to the promoter and was like, "Pay me my money. I want to get the fuck out of here." Got his money, and they noticed that, like, dudes were tailing him. And then they surrounded the car, he says. He gave him the money back, and they let him go. And he basically, like, when he got back to the States, somebody told him, like, you know, you were dead. Like, if you wouldn't have said yes to give that money back, they were going to murder you. Now, the problem is, Hogan has also said that The Undertaker fucked up his spine and back, which never happened.
Hogan has embellished a lot.
We've all heard his voicemail. So, you know, you got to take what Hogan says with a grain of salt. Every other wrestler seems to, basically, the people who don't love him, like Kevin Nash and Eric Bischoff, all have the same story, that he's kind of just a lying douchebag.
I thought you were talking about the one with Bruiser Brody. He actually died in Puerto Rico after a match in the showers.
He got shot, right?
No, they stabbed him to death.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, they said it was Invader number 3 or something. There was like 5 invaders, but he was one of the Puerto Rican wrestlers that stabbed him to death in the shower.
I tell you what, we're gonna do a whole series of depressing as shit, well shot wrestling movies. We'll get Bruiser Brody. We'll get who's another good one? What's his name that ended up a paraplegic? That'll be pretty sad. Droz. We'll talk about the other one, the black guy that everybody for some reason hated. He was in the NWO at one point. Not Tony Atlas.
Oh, Virgil?
Virgil. We'll do a movie on Virgil, and the whole movie is just him sitting by himself at Comic-Cons and nobody asking for fucking autographs.
Nobody gets in line.
Like, the whole movie is just him getting up, walking over to the sign that says $15 and crossing it out and putting 10, and then walking back to his chair. And then it's just a time lapse of nobody coming to see him.
And then at the end, it's like $5.50, $5.25. Yeah.
Free. I don't want to have to travel back on the airplane with 100 shots of myself in my bag. It's heavier this way.
Yeah, that guy Virgil's wrestling. Yeah, his story. His was sad.
Like, here's the thing: you could do a whole series of sad ass fucking wrestling movies. It just is what it is. I mean, what's Brian? What's his name? Stone Cold Steve Martin, Austin's former partner.
Brian Pillman.
Brian Pillman. Chris Benoit.
Oh, yeah.
Ain't nothing sadder than that one.
Yeah.
And just like the Passion of the Christ, we show everything. That's right. We show him kill them fucking...
Everything we think happened.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the side of, he came home and she killed the kid and he fucking snapped. I'm kind of... The more and more that you kind of watch documentaries and shit about it, I'm leaning towards that.
She had something to do with it.
Yeah, she was crazy too.
Yeah.
Like, he was black-brained up. No, we understand that. But, like, she was nutso too. They were all hyper-religious. I think it was one of those things where, like, maybe he came home, she had killed the kid, and he just and she convinced him to kill her and then himself.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just both fucking crazy. Anyway,
I believe...
Director of Iron Claw, if you'd like some depressing movies more you can do, maybe some more tragedies that make me want to go fucking cut myself after them, you can make tons of wrestling tragedies, just endless amounts of them. And then the good news is every time a star, gets old or injured or dies, you can make another movie. It keeps refilling.
You can make another movie.
Hey, the funeral homes are benefiting from people's deaths. Why not the entertainment industry?
I believe after they consider this a success for a wrestling movie, but I believe they're trying to do a thing for Eddie Guerrero now, and Chavo's really pushing for an Eddie Guerrero story.
Yes, but what you don't understand is Eddie Guerrero has to be played by a black lesbian. That's how movies go. I'm sorry, I don't know how we got 4 white ripped dudes in this movie. I thought sure enough one of them was going to be, I don't know, at the minimum an Arab. Let's switch it up, right? We'll get a Sikh in there.
So, did you know that all the wrestling choreography was done by Chavo Guerrero?
I did know that. He also did a lot of the stuff on Glow, I believe, right? Or was it the other one with the Hill brothers?
I don't know.
No, because Chavo and Carlito were both on Glow.
Okay.
And I think that was because one of the things was they were also helping with the choreography. I think Al Snow consulted on that show too.
Yeah. Chavo was also in this movie too. He was playing the Sheik. He wasn't playing the Sheik, but he wasn't the Sheik. He was I think he was supposed to be Angel. I think he was supposed to be the Angel of Death or Angel.
Okay.
In there.
I didn't even recognize.
So, but it was the guy when you saw the Sheik running around. That's Chavo in the ring.
Huh.
That was cool. Fighting.
I will say, this movie did a better job filming like actually the wrestling moves than I thought it would. Like for me, if you go, hey, one wrestling movie, Wrestler or Iron Claw, I'm gonna be going for the Iron Claw.
Yuri Butler.
What's
Hello,
up, buddy? Like for me, I think the Iron Claw is just it's a different movie, but I would prefer it over the Wrestler. But that could have something to do with my hatred of Mickey Rourke. I'm not a big fan of him.
Well, I think like what you're saying about the shots of how the wrestling moves were filmed, it does have a big thing to do with that because the wrestler they were showing it like if the camera was in the ring and they're showing him jump with it, where this was actually like if you were watching from TV or something and you were able to see everything happen, like a real wrestling show.
I mean, even when like all three of the brothers are in the ring and they're doing their triple drop kicks and shit, it's all shot really well. It's shot from like almost like the old school cameras that were looking through the ropes, you know, those angles. That was something that I noted that I thought was really well done. The movie, the movie in general is really well done. It's a well done movie. Just like I said earlier, it's like watching Patch Adams.
But
oh God, yeah.
I still have not seen that. Yeah,
don't watch it if you haven't seen it at this point. At your age, there's no point. Just like the movie Up. Next scene. I'm not watching the first fucking 10 minutes of that movie. Why? I've seen it. I don't need to see it anymore. It makes me sad.
That's the saddest Disney opening ever.
Hold on. It hits me. That one hits me. I'm a married man. I love my wife. But The Good Dinosaur. The baby dinosaur's daddy dies beginning of the movie, and then throughout the rest of the movie, the fucking dinosaur is having black and white Vietnam flashbacks of his dad getting sucked into the fucking rapids. Like how, I'm sitting there watching it as an adult and I'm like, what the fuck? As a kid, I would probably also be like, what the fuck? I like The Undertaker and Kane and Ken Shamrock and Dave and The Rock and The Big Show because them on YouTube.
Watch a lot of YouTube.
Those are all. I mean, you're all talking a certain era too. Like I do prefer more of that Attitude era, and I do like the surrounding era. Like I like a little bit of the end of the era before the Attitude era, and then also the Ruthless Aggression era. I also enjoyed, which is a lot of the wrestlers that you're kind of talking about. I don't know what an Undertaker movie wouldn't be so depressing.
You know,
like, he's beat to shit, but he's alive.
You were part of that Attitude era and all that stuff that and I'm part of this era that we from this movie. So I still watched like everything going on to this day, and I haven't stopped watching. But
one thing that annoys me is the documentary quality. Like if you watch the rise and fall of ECW, it's way better than the rise and fall of the WCW documentary. Like it's just better done, and that always bothers me when you're talking WWE documentaries because one will be amazing. Like I haven't watched it yet, but you said the Bray Wyatt one.
Yes.
Like you'll have a really good one, and then you're like, okay, now I'm gonna go watch this one. It should be just the same quality, and it's not. It's like one thing I've never been able to watch because it hasn't been streaming anywhere is that RVD documentary about
One of a Kind.
No. It's his own thing. It was I can't remember the title, but it's all about post everything. It was filmed a few years back. It's about his concussions and everything. How is your family doing? Who are you talking to, my friend? There are trees.
Yeah, I see there's a picture, but I can't see who the picture is.
The icons are so tiny. I can't make out who it is. That's if it's even the real person. See, on the internet, we believe in anonymity. That's what we believe in. So that's exactly how the word is pronounced too, by the way. All right. Are you guys ready to give this thing a score? The Iron Claw once again is what we're doing.
Yes.
Yes? All right. Well, I did promise we'd have a different video. This is temporary for just today. Then we'll have a new one for next week. But here you go.
That's right. This is Giovanni's first time seeing it.
So I decided to be a little bit easy on you guys with that one because the last one was so fucking long. That one
I still liked it.
I know I like it too, and I'm trying to figure out the next one. I'm trying to give it different feels and themes. I like the little hot dog animation. So now my mind is going to like I think the next one's honestly going to be like maybe Chicago landscapes with the dancing hot dog around it. You know what I mean? Something like that. And then the next one is gonna be different. We're gonna keep pumping them out as long as AI music is still a thing. We've got an endless supply of songs we can create. So we'll be having lots of fun with it. All right, I'll go first. For me, this is a solid 8. This is a movie I would watch again. I thought it was really well done, albeit very depressing. But I mean, that's the nature of the story. It is what it is. You can't change real life. I'm sure a lot of people's lives have a lot of tragedy in them. So this is I think I don't know. I didn't know a ton about the Von Erichs. They were before my time. They were before I had interest in wrestling. I think the movie did a pretty good job of informing you on maybe not the ins and outs, but the overall basis of who these guys were.
Like the lineage as far as where they are in wrestling, you know.
Yeah, this movie, at the minimum, if you know nothing about these guys, the movie makes you understand, like, why these guys were so important to the business. And like, when you hear of, if you're somebody who was raised like me in the Attitude Era, you know, for us hearing Von Erich is kind of like, whatever. I mean, I've heard he was a good wrestler, any one of them. But there's guys like Alex who got to see them, and we're fans of them. And I think this movie does a great job of it. At the minimum, paying homage to a family that was very integral in the wrestling business, as well as just crafting a good movie around it. Like I said, but very sad, but you can't change real life. So yeah, it's a very solid 8 for me. To the point where I may see if Jen wants to watch it, because I do think she would enjoy it. You know, it's in the 70s, so you got some of those scenes that are a little dazed and confused-ish, where they're getting out of the pickup trucks, going to the wrestling hall, grabbing the cooler. So scenes like that in the movie, I think, will train. Like, if you're a wrestling fan and you'd like to show a loved one like a really good wrestling movie, I think this is probably your best bet right now.
Because it doesn't actually just end as a depressing movie. It actually does have a little upside to it, you know.
Well,
and,
you know, the shows him that
like Giovanni said earlier.
Well, basically, Kevin was able to escape.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, he was able to escape his father. I personally wish he would have choked him to death at the end. But he was able to escape his father. He was able to escape, you know, the business more or less, and kind of just live his life. You know, between him selling the wrestling organization to Joey Jarrett or Jerry Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett's father,
Jerry Jarrett, yeah. And I'm familiar with the Jarretts a little bit, because, I mean, those guys have tried to buy every fucking promotion you can have. What is it, TNA? They tried to buy WCW at one point. What else have they tried to buy?
I think they were trying to get NWA after that.
Yeah, the Jarretts have had their greasy little fucking fingers in everything in the wrestling. Like, everybody talks shit about McMahon making a global wrestling force, but if he wasn't doing it, the Jarretts were out there trying to fuck everybody over they could.
Yeah. It was the Southern Territories that he was mainly at, so.
Which, I mean, I think the truth that, you know, I know, like, the old school wrestling guys hate McMahon for going against his father word, but it's like, what did you think the future was? You thought we would all just remain especially with TV becoming more and more prevalent? Like, you really thought we would all just remain nothing, and there would there'd be no one?
It's kind of going back to that way now. As far as like AEW, TNA, New Japan.
Yeah, you've got organizations, but like, here's the thing. The WWE can still go, where does AEW's out of Florida?
Yes.
The WWE can still go do a big show in Florida and not have to worry about them meeting in a bar and knocking each other's teeth out.
But the thing about territories is what they mean by territories is you have AEW wrestlers that are wrestling in TNA while they're still wrestling, you know, while they're still like the main people. So it's kind of going back that way.
That's also like saying, hey, I'm no longer drinking Bud Light because they support gays. I'm going to go have an Anheuser-Busch. AEW owns both of the organizations.
But WWE also let the TNA World Champion come into like the Royal Rumble. They did it the year before that with Mickie James.
You know what they call that? They call that a fucking tryout. And I hate to put it that way, but isn't that kind of how it is? Like, if they're coming from TNA, the WWE is clearly the big league in comparison. Like, that's not WWE going, we need this guy. That's like TNA going, hey man, we think like this is one of the guys that could be something big. You want to give him a shot. Like, that's WWE doing that guy a favor more than anything, no? Especially if they're throwing him into like the Rumble or something.
I guess.
Like, here's the thing, him being on WWE programming isn't going to bring many audience numbers from TNA But him being in WWE is going to give him a lot more eyes on him. Technically, although WWE has been known to fuck over people for very little reasons. I was an Elias fan, goddamn.
Yeah.
I didn't give a shit about Jinder Mahal, but he quit apparently.
Oh, did he?
He put a tweet out saying he didn't get fired. He left. Like he either chose not to resign or quit.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what the legit story is. Either way, he's no longer with the fucking company. Mr. Steroid. The fucked up thing I will say about Jinder Mahal is WWE's race typing. The guy doesn't have an accent in any way, shape, or form in real life. He talks like just a dude.
He can speak the language, but he didn't really have like the accent of it.
Yeah, I've seen interviews with him now after he's out of the company, and he just talks like a dude. Like, he doesn't have really any distinguishing accent. He's just kind of a dude.
Yeah.
Which, you know, WWE's always been fucked with that. I mean, look at, what's his face, that character that they basically stopped using because they were just calling him a terrorist every week.
Which one?
The one that came out with the sidekick Arab who also tried to do a singles run that didn't work. But yeah, he waved the flag and this, you know, and like...
And the guy didn't want to do it. He said, he goes, I don't want to do this character, yeah.
Well, that was the problem with Vince McMahon, is it would take Vince McMahon to find something funny where he walks up to John Cena and goes, "What's up, my nigga?" It takes that sort of stupid, if you will, or lack of self-awareness, if you will, to think that would fly. Like, even Booker T, when he accidentally let it slip out when he was doing the promo on Hogan, knew immediately, like, oh, damn it, I shouldn't have said that. Like, you could see it on his face. And McMahon had the balls to, on Raw, or one of them, say this to John Cena and goes, "Oh, it'll be funny because he's a wigger," type thing. I guarantee you that was the mindset in the background. So, like, McMahon not being in the wrestling biz anymore, honestly, is a good fucking thing. Thank you for building what you built. But at this point, and probably for the past 10, 15 years, you've been destruction more than anything when it comes to maintaining talent, having storylines go through all the way to completion, having good storylines. Like, a lot of the bullshit in the past decade is McMahon just trying to live by I'm Vincent Kennedy McMahon. This storyline's great. Hey, let's get a giant guy. His name's Omos. He sucks dick, but he works, right? Because he's giant. Omos is shit, by the way.
He can't wrestle for shit.
No,
apparently he's a really nice guy, but he can't wrestle for shit.
Dude, you have no choice but to be nice when you're that big. Like, you know, like the Jolly Green Giant is giant for a fucking reason. His dick is bigger than normal people's forearms, I'm sure. Like, he's got a reason to be fucking happy. All right, Alex, what's your score on this one?
For me, I really liked it. There was little things that they were missing, but that was just, you know, me being, you know, knowledgeable of the family. Like some of the things that were missing was like the yellow rose that David Von Erich would always come out with, and all of a sudden the women in the crowd started fucking bringing roses and handing them to him as he was coming to the ring.
Was the yellow jacket like supposed to maybe make up for that? Is that the whole?
No,
thing?
that was his actual ring.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's when they started bringing yellow roses, and it was showing like how much people really loved them. If they would have did that a little bit, it would have showed how much he was really loved, even though it was already evident.
I think people don't like highly underestimate how like big of a fandom these people had, especially in their local areas. Gio needs to move that camera. He looks like he's getting ready to take pics in grammar school. I told you last time.
That was Fabian said that.
Fabian said, I told you last time, you call 1-800-NMP, go fuck yourself. He's your IT guy. He'll handle that call, and he'll let you know exactly what to shove exactly where. He's going to stick with it, and we're all going to be in Tamarel at one point, and he's going to be the only one with a map, and then you'll be sorry.
And hello, Fabian. How are you?
Hi, Fabian. How you doing, buddy? Anyways.
But, yeah, so... But you know, those little things were just like minor details, only because I'm a nerd for the wrestling business. But it is a 9 for me because I did like how they did tell the story. I did like how they did show like the struggles that Kevin Von Erich really was going through in his life, and now he's the only surviving member from that namesake other than his kids.
Alex, you're looking extra breedable today. I will say, before you
Thank you.
respond to that, I will say that if this had been a wrestler that I was a fan of my era, it might have been a 9. Like, I'll be straight up.
Yeah. Like if it was The Undertaker?
Yeah, if it was like a movie about Stone Cold, or even if he had to do a tragic one, about Brian Pillman or Eddie Guerrero. If this was an Eddie Guerrero movie done in the same vein with the same quality, it would probably be a 9 straight. I'm not even going to lie about that. I think it would be a 9 if I was more familiar and a fan of the people it's centered around. Mm-hmm. But like I said, please don't take my 8 as like a negative thing.
I did. I'm not.
It's a solid fucking movie, guys. Like, yeah, it's depressing as shit, but like, I gotta say, it's got the perfect. It's like, I'm calling it new old school indie. It's kind of got it's got that perfect blend. It's got some really kind of just nice vibes, and then a lot of death, but definitely a good movie.
Yeah, there should have been a little more as far as the story goes for family, but yeah, it's a 9. They portrayed a lot of the family members too, like how they really were from what you saw on TV. What they projected on TV. They projected, these actors actually did it well.
Well, so can we talk about that? Zac Efron is ungodly jacked in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it, the Von Erichs were jacked, but like, this is the same guy that said he would never do a diet like that, like he did with Baywatch. And I'm pretty sure he's larger in this movie than he was for Baywatch. Fabian says, they did so good with this, I shed a tear. I didn't shed a tear, but I will say it is one of those movies.
It did tug at it.
And credit to all the actors. I mean, Zac Efron, I suppose, he had to go through this whole movie with a bowl cut, and he did a really good job.
Yeah, I can't remember the kid's name. The one that plays the bear, Shameless.
I never can either, but yeah.
But he's
a good actor. He did a good job too.
Yeah, he did a really good job. I think it should have been the other way around. He should have been the one that was swole, and Kevin Von Erich wasn't that swole, but he was toned.
Well,
that guy had no body fat on him.
Can we also talk about the height of these actors? He should have been he was really short in comparison. Zac Efron was really short. I think the only one they got right was David.
Yeah, David Von Erich was the tallest. Then it was Carrie.
But see, that's the thing. David Von Erich in real life was probably 6'5", 6'6", and this actor was probably 6'3", but Zac Efron's so much shorter, so it makes it seem like he's that much taller. Like, there's the one shot from the back angle of the ring when they're all like standing like this, and you see just how short Zac Efron really is, and you're like, okay, I get it. All the actors did a great job, but there is a height disparity here between these people and the real people.
Yeah, but yeah, overall, it was really great for me. 9, solid 9.
Giovanni,
I'm gonna go 9 as well. I really liked it. These wrestlers are not from the era I grew up. I grew up with Matt, with the Attitude Era as well. But I do enjoy the way they depicted the story. I will tell you, it is a very sad story.
Yeah.
But there are parts that kind of shine through to pull you through the movie. Like the brothers' love for each other. I love that throughout the movie.
Yeah,
that was just a constant.
The brothers' love for each other.
That's a real thing too. That was a real thing.
The relationship between Kevin and Pam.
Oh yeah.
I mean, every scene she's in is bright. Like, her whole character, and I think a big part
they're still married to this day.
And see, that's the thing, is I'm going to assume that in the darkest of his times, he looked at her like, no, she was always my shining light. And I would assume a lot of happily married guys look at it like that, where it's like, when I've got nobody else to rely on, she is my light in the darkness. And I think that was a big thing, because if you notice, every scene she comes into, whether it be after one of several brothers' deaths, she's always kind of that driving, like, she understands, but she needs him to be him. She needs him to grieve, but also can't let him wallow. She's his strength in this movie, really.
And she didn't believe in that curse that everybody believed in either.
Yeah.
Which, you know what, dude? You got to give the guy fucking credit. He names his kid after his wife's maiden name because he's worried about, or no, his original name.
His original name, yeah.
Because he's worried about this curse. You all better thank your wives for keeping you all alive with their love. I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, there's There's truth to that.
For you, especially.
Literally, in my case. But if you do, like, if you are, and I'm not saying every marriage is happy. I'm sure there's a lot of shitty fucking marriages out there. But if you are in a relatively happy marriage where your arguments are normal arguments, blah, 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 typically speaking, your wife, she becomes the person you rely on most. Whether guys want to admit it or not, your wife is always there, especially if it's a happy relationship. If she's a good woman, it becomes that way.
Even when you're a dick.
Especially when you're a dick. And I'll tell you right now, the truth of it is, as you get older, you lose people, whether it's death or just distance or falling out. You know, you may have, if you're in your 20s, you may have 20 friends that you could think of at the moment you're going to go hang out with. At a certain point, there's not a single one you can. So this idea of, you know, like years ago, I used to say, well, my wife isn't my best friend. She's my wife, and I have my best friends, which is still true. But over the years, she's morphed herself into my, she's the one she's got my back. She's always there. And I think that this movie did a really good job of portraying Pam as that kind of constant, that sort of, she's always there. She's always there for him. She's always concerned about his well-being. What would be your guys' wrestling names? Well, Alex and I used to do the backyard wrestling, mine was Matt Havoc.
Yeah. And I think mine out of all of them was Mateo. I can't remember.
I can't remember what.
I can't remember. But I know a lot of my wrestling characters that I ever created was always Mateo, and I don't know what it was about that name that just kind of looked, but I always made him look like tribally with Mateo.
I remember being frustrated because we were doing it the one day, and Manny had already chosen the one Disturbed song I wanted to use. I was like, this motherfucker. We literally just had a shitty little CD player. Yeah, although I will say,
Didn't we use the same song anyway? Did we do?
I don't think it fucking, because we were also like, I would love to see those tapes because it was all recorded. A lot of it was. I'd love to see them so then I can cringe and then burn them.
If we could find, what were they called? MIDI CDs? Were they MIDI disc?
I would figure out where to take that motherfucker to get it transferred, or I'd go, hey Dad, you want a project? And he'd go, hey, I found this player on Amazon. It connects right to the computer, allows me to digitally. Okay, sure, I'll order it. Yeah, no, Matt Havoc. I will say, I did pick up WWE 2K24, and MILF Maker has made their way to WWE.
Something to note about this whole thing about the Von Erichs. Kevin Von Erich's sons are actually wrestling now, and he's with them during their show, so he's still in the business.
It's surprising he would want that, unless they did.
If you saw at the end, like when he sells to Jarrett, Jarrett goes, "I can bring you on." He goes, "Yeah, I need the work." So that's how he bought that ranch that his family now lives on, is because he's still.
And you know what? That whole scene where he figures out that his dad's been basically robbing him.
Yeah, no shit.
Is like, I looked at the books and I wasn't making anything near what you were putting in here. And then you think it was free to live here? And it's like, fuck you, I'm selling. I need a home for my family. Like, go fuck yourself. Like, I live in a shithole apartment and we're growing.
We're not talent for your business for you to fucking profit off of. We still need to make money.
That's the thing is, it's like, that's the exact sort of shiesty promoter shit that also helped kill the territories.
Yeah.
Like, McMahon came in and sure, he was kind of the hand of God that said, no, we're unifying. But that behavior was another reason why the territories died, because wrestlers could try to wrestle for Vince McMahon or one of his organizations and actually get the paycheck they were told they were going to get. Or you go down south and you maybe get fucked over.
Yeah. It's even funny that Paul Heyman, it was the modern day fucking guy, because he still owes people money that wrestled.
The only difference, though, I will say, when you ever see interviews with dudes like Tommy Dreamer,
they all love.
Yeah, they openly say, he stole from me, he didn't pay me. But he gave me the biggest opportunity. So I think the problem with Paul Heyman was he was robbing his wrestlers to pay things that needed to be paid.
Yeah.
And I think
so he was actually putting it towards actual shit.
Yeah, so he's got a history of he just straight up owes people money to this day that from back then. Well, I mean, that we don't know if behind the scenes they rectify, if he's talked to these people. But.
Yeah. One of the things he did, and like the wrestler talked about, I can't remember which one it was, but It was more or less like, hey, somebody canceled. I called this guy to see if they can come in, and the guy, he's like, yeah. So he calls me, and he tells me he wants me to show up for the show, and he booked a flight for me. So when I show up, they tell me, I'm sorry to hear about your father. And he goes, excuse me? And you're like, well, yeah, I heard your father passed away. So he got them on a bereavement ticket, which is next to nothing.
I'm pretty sure that was Tommy Dreamer, and I'm almost positive it was a regular occurrence. I think they said that. Did you watch the Paul Heyman documentary?
Not the Paul Heyman one, no, but
So
the rise and fall of ECW.
In the one, I think it's My Name is Paul Heyman or whatever the fuck it's titled. I think it was like 2014 or 15 that WWE put out. I think it's Tommy Dreamer, and then several other ECW guys are like, oh yeah, we used to do that all the time. Like, we were always like, we'd get to the airport and see the ticket and be like, okay, and like have to pretend like our father died.
But like a couple of the wrestlers were like, they never knew it was going to happen. They show up and they're like, what? Okay, yeah. Like they have to play it off. And
well, you're also talking about the guy that scared away Kurt Angle, because the night that Kurt Angle goes to visit ECW, Paul Heyman is having the Sandman crucified on a cross in the arena.
And I think Kurt Angle was a big Catholic or something like that.
He was very religious, and he walked in, he basically went to Paul Heyman and was like, thank you, I don't want to be involved in this. Have a good night. And just left the fucking arena. Like, he was supposed to be in ECW before he went anywhere else. And he walked in and they were crucifying Sandman. I mean, meanwhile, he's a bit hypocritical, because you did have Stone Cold crucify Undertaker. Yes, not as violently.
But that was after he knew about the business, though.
Who gives a fuck? He's a hypocrite. He was okay making the big bucks and popping the pills and all that.
His documentary is also very good.
I haven't watched. Maybe I have watched. I still say Angle's greatest match is him and Shane McMahon, where they can't break through the sugar glass because it's not sugar.
Oh yeah.
So actually, I've heard two stories. One story is that they didn't put in sugar glass; it was real glass. And the other story is it was sugar glass, but they sprayed it with something to keep it together, and it hardened, and they couldn't bust through it because of that. I've heard. So I don't know which one is true.
Do you know what the story is, Giovanni, or no?
No.
So Kurt Angle tries to suplex over his head into the glass.
I don't remember what pay-per-view, but it's a pay-per-view. Him and Shane McMahon are having a match, and they've brought themselves up to the entranceway of the stage, where like there's glass panels and all the lights and shit.
He goes through one of them, which is fine, but then there's another one, and he tries it, and nothing. He does it again. He drops him straight to his head every time.
The first one doesn't break.
Oh, okay. So it was the first one?
It takes him 3 times. And then they're behind the glass panels, and they're supposed to throw him through the next one. Doesn't break again. And at this point, Shane McMahon tells him, just hurl me the fuck through it. Now, I believe in this match, Angle broke his collarbone, or not a collarbone, but something, he fucked up something on his back.
Probably something in his spine.
No, they slammed on the entranceway. And so his back is all fucked up. So he talks about how, like, he tried his best and he just hurled McMahon through it with everything he fucking could. And then apparently Vince McMahon meets him backstage, and he's like a mix of like worried and pissed off, and he goes, thank you for what you did, but I don't ever want to see that again. Like, he was pissed off about it. And I guess he read Shane the Riot Act.
Call it an audible.
Second movie we're doing. More than likely a shorter review.
So which order did you guys watch this in?
I watched Claw and then Ready to Rumble.
I watched Ready to Rumble a couple months ago.
So I've seen Ready to Rumble a lot, but I actually watched Iron Claw first, and then I watched Ready to Rumble. So it kind of did change the mood.
Yeah, which I think, like I said, Ready to Rumble, especially if you're in a wrestling movie mode, right, is probably the perfect movie to watch after the Iron Claw.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to go from Iron Claw to the Wrestler, because then the next step is in your bathroom with a toaster.
Or the hairdryer if you have a wife.
Yeah, right? Like, fuck it, I've got this old school radio that's got exposed wiring. I can't watch any more sad wrestling movies. Ready to Rumble it's a dumb movie. It's David Arquette. I can't remember his first name, but I can't remember his last name. I know he's the son of
James Caan, I believe his name.
Yeah, the Caan son. with a weird jaw. Honestly, though, I read into it.
Or Scott Conn. I'm sorry, Scott Conn.
He was the only one on set that had any sort of actual martial arts training, which he did.
Scott Conn?
Yeah. He actually had legitimate martial arts training. So he's the only one on set that actually knew how to do anything, really. Who else? Oliver Platt is in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Diamond Dallas Page, Goldberg is in it. I mean, a lot of WCW guys. Sting is in it. Beyond that's a documentary. That one is also, I haven't seen Beyond the Mat in years.
That is a very good one.
Yeah. I remember the reason I watched it is because like I was going through Blockbuster one day and it was like Mick Foley, The Rock, and I think somebody else on the cover. And I was like, what the fuck is this? That's probably, I think, how I came across that one.
And then the other one was Bret Hart's story. I can't remember what that one was called. Wrestling with Shadows. Wrestling with Shadows.
Those are all obsolete now because if it isn't WWE doing a documentary, it's Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah,
like those type. I do too. Those are also sometimes hard to watch.
Oh yeah.
Like I love the episodes like the plane ride from hell, but then you watch like the Brian Pillman episode or you watch the Chris Benoit double episode, and by the end of that double episode, it's just like I need to see guys getting kicked by livestock after messing with them. Like I need to see something to fucking some guy needs to get kicked in the jimmy to get me a little bit happier here.
Ouch, my balls.
Yeah. Everything will be AI voice from now on. Yeah, I just watched the it's a good one too. I just watched the Sandman episode of Dark Side of the Ring. Very well done.
Yeah. And you find all yours on YouTube or you find it on Hulu?
I watch a lot of it on YouTube, to be honest with you. Like,
okay, because I know Hulu.
Every time there's a new episode, it's like a week later. I don't even know when they premiere. So, like, for me, I'm cruising YouTube, and all of a sudden, it's like just posted, and it's the full fucking episode. And it's like, all right, cool, I'll watch it.
No commercials, nothing?
Nah, dude, I've got YouTube Premium. I don't watch commercials anyways. I'll have to look and see how many email addresses I have left on mine.
Somebody forgot to mention that's in this movie. Martin Landau.
Yeah.
The Great Sandini. Sal Bandini or whatever. He was great in this.
So the overall arcing story of this is a kind of small town loser and his buddy have dreams of being wrestling stars, WCW stars in specific. They all kind of have this warped look on reality, specifically David Arquette, where he kind of looks at everything in like a wrestling promo point of view, including Quarles in the Quickie Mart with the fucking counter guy and
asshole Ahmed.
Yeah, everything in between. And basically one day they go to see the show and just kind of get wrapped up into it, and they meet and the secondary story is all about the King of Wrestling, which, by the way, Oliver Platt has got to be not a bad actor, but got to be one of the worst fucking choices of casting in this movie for the champion.
It's weird. Seeing him.
He wasn't in every stunt and everything, but he did some of the stuff. He's 40 years old, and he was doing that, and he looked okay.
Exactly why I said he's poorly cast. The guy doesn't have any muscle mass.
But DDP was 44 during the filming of this.
And DDP looked much better.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, I get it. They were going for like a Jerry the King Lawler sort of thing, but Jerry the King Lawler in his prime was a stocky, wide-shouldered, kind of barrel-chested guy, and Oliver Platt is not that. He is the opposite of what you would think wrestler. So for him to be
he was very much like the Homer Simpson of this.
Yeah, it's almost like whoever they got to play Harley Race in the Iron Claw. It was like the same physique. Maybe also, Harley Race in the Iron Claw was better.
Who played the manager? What's the actor's name?
Ready to Rumble?
The one from Goonies. The one from Goonies. The
villain from the main guy from Goonies. Why was he an Indian guy in this one, or dressed like an Indian?
Oh yeah.
No idea. I think there was a lot of shit where they were just like high, sitting around a table, going, "All right, we need to fill this script out." Like
Joe Pantaleone.
Oh, Pantaleone. Yeah. I actually, you know what I just watched? I rewatched the Daredevil Ben Affleck unrated cut movie, and
he's in there too. Yeah.
Yes, and
I don't remember him in there. I forgot the Daredevil.
He was the reporter on Matt Murdock's heels, and I still maintain the unrated version of that film is one of the best early comic book movies we have. Everybody shit on it when it came out. Go back and watch it and tell me the action scenes aren't cool.
I'll have to watch
that movie. That movie's pretty good. The only thing that threw me off in that movie was Bullseye. Like,
Bullseye is fucking the worst in that movie. He's a terrible character.
He was the wrong choice for that, huh?
Yeah, well, like, here's the thing: is the way they portrayed him is just goofy. Like, he's literally like a leprechaun with a bullseye carved into his forehead.
Yeah.
So, like, they didn't.
You know what? It wasn't even carved into his forehead. They just stuck something on his forehead and pushed it.
Yeah.
And then they had to do it every day.
Well, they just didn't give him any of the, like, I hate to use this term for Daredevil, but the gravitas the character needed, right? Like, the character didn't have gravity. It was like, oh, he's a goofy Irishman who also just kind of haphazardly kills people. Cool.
And it made no sense because that movie had a tone to it, and it was set. It was a little dark, not too funny. And then Bullseye comes in, you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
but it's such a crazy thing because by the end of the movie, he takes out Bullseye, and then it completely snaps out of that stupidity, goes right to him confronting Fisk, and it's a brutal fucking fight. Like, that's what I don't get is that Bullseye, if you removed Bullseye from that movie, the movie would have been infinitely better, and also remove the fight scene between him and Elektra in the park, where he's just dancing on a fucking teeter-totter. Yeah. That's stupid. But, like, if you go back and watch that movie, watch the unrated, because the unrated, believe it or not, is different. If you watch the unrated, and even if you just watch the action scenes alone, you're gonna be surprised, because I guarantee you don't remember how visceral and brutal they are. Because, honestly, they're really pretty well done.
Daredevil, at that time, was one of my favorite, like, characters of Marvel. And I never bought that movie. After watching it, I watched it once.
I'll put it this way. Done. Watching it again the other day, it reminded me a hell of a lot like they took Daredevil and tried to make it like The Crow. That's honestly the feeling I got from it.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like The Crow Daredevil, everything from him on rooftops to he's in the bar that he's about to take out 20 fucking dudes, but he's just hanging up in the rafters watching them. Like, it's almost like they were like, yeah, we're going to make Daredevil, but we want Daredevil to have more of the Crow feeling where he kind of he's not Superman. He's not showing up and hello, everybody. He's coming in a back door, hanging from the rafter, wiping everybody out, and then getting the fuck out of Dodge. And I'll be honest with you. If you haven't seen it in a while, go watch it. It's worth it. The action scenes alone are pretty solid. The story... The only comedy you get in the story, other than Bullseye, is between him and Foggy when they're just lawyers.
Yep.
Like that's really the only every time he's Daredevil.
Who played Foggy in this one?
What's his face? Director of Iron Man, Favreau.
Really?
Yep.
Jeez, it's been that long, and I don't remember him. Yeah.
Oddly enough, Karen is played by the chick who's Meredith Grey in Grey's Anatomy.
Okay.
And she's actually cute. I have never seen her in anything where I've thought, oh, she's pretty cute. I saw her in Daredevil, and I'm like, hey, it's
Who's
her.
That? And then you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Like, she's actually cute. Like, holy shit. Like, I see her even in the earliest seasons of Grey's Anatomy, and it's like, oh, what's wrong with her face? But I saw her in this, and I was like, oh, wow, this is surprising. Yeah, okay. I would go. I think we have it in the Vudu. If not, then I watched it streaming somewhere. Definitely worth a shot. If you don't remember it, watch the unrated though. It's in the Vudu. That's my one caveat: is watch the unrated. I don't remember what the PG-13 version is, but I remember when it came out on DVD. Reviews across the board of the unrated DVD were far superior to the standard PG-13.
All right, I just added it to my list. You just made the list.
Hey, so Ready to Rumble. Prospect. I told you this is going to be a short review. I told you the story, and eventually, they help the former champion who was screwed by dirty promotion, plus dirty superstars at the time. They help him get back in shape, get his trailer home back to fighting.
In shape.
Yeah, in shape. Well, yeah. And like once again, it's all the precedents that when we first see him, he's in great fighting shape, right? And then it's like, a month later, and he's drunk on his trailer, like his RV floor the whole time. So they get him back to add it. They get him through some training. One of them starts to fall in love. And then eventually, by the way, the third most minor story is David Arquette's father wants him to become a cop.
Yep. He's a family of cops, yep.
He's a family of cops.
Sister.
And So by the end of the movie, you know, hilarity has ensued. But beyond that, we get to the end where the king is back and he's gonna. It is a cool scene with the triple cage.
Yeah, that was a real
really
thing.
good.
That was a real thing that failed though miserably in WCW.
Well, the whole big battle is essentially you've got the king plus Scott Kahn, and David Arquette's dad has kidnapped him and said, "No, you're going to be a cop," and he's gone. And so it's just triple cage. You've got some of the superstars are helping the king because they're good guys. They're baby faces. Some of the guys are going against King because they're heels and just the bad guys of the movie. Joe Pantoliano is the dirty promoter. Pantoliano, however the fuck. He's actually in Bad Boys 4. And the whole... Yes, they're still making those. And the whole catalyst is he's been killed. So I'm pretty sure his one scene is like him doing a video recording.
Yeah.
Not a bad paycheck, I'm sure, to record something over Zoom.
That's kind of like the whole Axel Foley one.
Yeah, they're just rehashing the same shit. I remember the last Bad Boy movie was garbage.
Which Axel 4 is supposed to be coming out soon on...
Have you seen the trailer?
No, I haven't.
It actually doesn't look bad.
Really?
What streaming network is coming? Is it Netflix or what?
Netflix,
I think it's Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah.
First off, it's rated R.
Okay.
Okay.
Full foul mouth Axel
It has
Foley.
to be.
It has to be. If it wouldn't have been rated R, I'm not watching it. You know me. You know, I'm already protesting Blade. It's not going to be made for 6 fucking years, and I'm already protesting it.
I still haven't watched the sequel to Coming to America.
I haven't either.
I heard bad things about it, but like really bad things, and that should have been rated R as well.
But watch the trailer, and then tell me what you think, because I watched the trailer of it, and I was surprised because I went into it going, oh, here we go. Netflix is going to ruin a franchise. I love.
Money grab. Here comes a money grab.
And I don't know, man. The trailer's got me optimistic. Even if it's not a grand slam, I think it has the potential to be the same level quality of like Lethal Weapon 4. Which I thought was a pretty decent.
We're family.
Well, the fact that it's rated R changes everything for me.
Yeah, it is rated R, and I confirmed that. I didn't know it, but then I saw, must have been a Red Band trailer, where he's just motherfucking this, and I'm like, okay, it's at least rated R. That's a really good start.
Okay.
I was always worried about that because Eddie Murphy was also talking about like he would never do like the foul mouth comedy thing anymore.
No. He had talked about the opposite.
He said it the opposite. Yeah, he said that he's tired of how things are going in the comedy world.
Oh, okay.
He said basically he wants to come out with a new special, and it's not going to be some PC bullshit. It's going to be him.
Yeah.
Oh,
he said that he was tired of how shit's starting to go with the comedy world.
Good.
I'll be honest, I would definitely check out the trailer and make your own decision, but the writing seems on point. Judge Reinhold is in it. The other guy, not Tackleberry, that's Police Academy.
His name was Tackett or something.
Taggart. He's, I believe, back in it. Obviously, the white-haired chief can't be. I'm pretty sure he's dead in real life. Wait, no, he died in the movie. He was the catalyst for number 2, right?
That's why I said that. Was it 3 or 2?
2 or 3. It might have been 3.
No, it was 2.
No, Chia, because it was what's her face from Red Sonja with the arms dealing, right? Yeah. Well, I don't know. It might have been number 3 now that I'm thinking.
Which one which one had the Willie's World or whatever it is?
That's number 3.
Okay, so then
is it that? Oh, it is that one.
No, he gets shot, but he doesn't die, I think.
Okay, yeah. Well, he gets attacked.
But his captain dies in number 2. And that's when they're in the garage, he tells him, "What? Are you mad that I killed your boyfriend, Foley?" And
yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I would definitely check the trailer out. It's worth it. It looks like it's going to be decent. And I'm not like champion Netflix or saying it's going to be the greatest, but I think it looks like they're doing as good as they can with a 2024 Axel Foley movie, if that makes sense.
Do you think he's had his hand in the pot, like like in what direction he wanted it to go?
I would assume, even though he's been basically retired for quite some time, I'd imagine Eddie Murphy's got some pull, especially when it's concerning a franchise that he more than likely had quite a bit of input from the beginning. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you're seeing a producer credit on it of Eddie Murphy.
Okay.
And I would imagine Eddie Murphy's the type of guy where if they wrote him stupid dialogue, he'd look at it and go, what the fuck is this? Axel Foley wouldn't say this.
Okay.
I would hope so. We'll see. I mean, it doesn't look terrible. I'm actually kind of hopeful for it. Now, as far as this movie, I actually recommend watching this movie. It is your typical late 90s, early 2000s dumb comedy. It's Beavis and Butthead for wrestling fans.
You don't even have to be a wrestling fan to watch it. It's kind of like Dude, Where's My Car-ish, but
It's
Where's My Car was a little bit more funnier than...
Now, I will say, if you are a wrestling fan, it is cool to see things like, John Cena with his prototype haircut just in the background working out in the gym.
Yeah.
Shit like that has always been fun to me. Like, you get to see, the wrestlers kind of in their prime when WCW, during the 83 Weeks era. You get to kind of see these guys, as big as WCW would have loved to have been able to keep them,
And the movie's also really cool in the fact that it takes like the what wrestling does, like those interviews, the insults, and kind of hyper extends them to make fun of itself. Like, it's really well done in that way.
Yeah, and that's, I think, a big part of it is a goofy movie, but it also isn't I give credit to whoever I'm going to assume Eric Bischoff was one of the guys who made sure this was put through, but like whoever said, hey, make your movie, and no, we don't take wrestling that seriously. Like, I think that, like, if WCW would have been like, no, you need to practice kayfabe in this, we're not fucking around, it wouldn't have been nearly as fun. But the fact that they were allowed to, like, point out some of the goofiness of the wrestling industry, I think is partially why it works.
I was looking to see if, what's his name from, the one guy that did the whole writing shit for WCW. He was in that fucking 70s show. What's his name with Fred Savage? What was it? The Wonder Years. He was the older brother for the Wonder Years. He actually was he was a big time wrestling fan, and he actually did a lot of the writing for WCW back in the day, and part of their popular side.
I don't know who wrote Ready to Rumble.
No, I was looking to see it. He's not even in this.
I don't know who directed it either, to be honest with you. It's not one of those movies that you watch and you go, I wonder who the director of it. Like, it's the same thing if I told you, like, if I watched Joe Dirt and I was like, who directed this movie? Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense to ask that, frankly.
Yeah, so Brian Robbins, whoever the fuck he is, he did Shaggy Dog, the remake.
Tim Allen?
Coach Carter.
Okay, Coach Carter was a success.
Let's see.
I think. Yeah, Coach Carter was a success.
But he also worked with Norbit and stuff like that. So
say what you want about Norbit. I like that movie.
Yeah.
Norbit gives me hope that Eddie Murphy isn't fucking around, because if you watch Norbit, it is one of the most offensive fucking movies ever. The fact that Eddie Murphy plays an old Chinese man, he plays a grotesquely, this was before Precious, mind you, a grossly obese black woman. He plays a nerdy version of himself. The movie does not represent black people in a good light at all. It is one of the most offensive fucking movies. I would feel like if people fucking discovered Norbit now, their little blue hair heads would explode. Because they'd be like, who the fuck does this guy think he is? Because it's just Eddie Murphy didn't give a fuck. He basically was doing the same thing Mike Myers was doing. It was like, no, I'm going to turn it up to Eddie Murphy, though. Like, I'm not fucking around.
So, the writer of this movie, he did the Mighty Ducks 2. He did Heavyweights.
Oh, Mighty I love Ducks him. 3. Who's the writer?
And he did Little Nicky. Stephen Brill.
Okay, I know the name. Dude, we need to review Heavyweights. What can we review Heavyweights with? I tell you what, everybody think about that. We're going to go ahead and give this thing we're going to give this movie a review. So we'll be right back. Heavyweights, but I do want to review Heavyweights and Major Pain.
I love Major Pain. I watched that movie the other day.
I think that's a pretty good film. Either that or Sergeant Bilko.
I don't remember Sergeant Bilko.
That's with Steve Martin.
Yes. If you've never seen Sergeant Bilko, it's actually... So Jen and I one day, we go camping every October, and there used to be a family video out there. And so they used to have a bin of like $3 Blu-rays, and I'm just pulling shit one day, and then Jen finds at Walmart a multi-pack of Steve Martin movies. I had
Multipass?
Multipass. I had never seen Sergeant Bilko until this night, where we've got, at this point, I think we had, now we just bring the our iPad, because we've got signal out there. We just stream shit now. But I think I had my PS3 or 4 with me. And we're just sitting by the fire with a monitor on this goddamn camping table and a PS4 watching Sergeant Bilko. And I will tell you, it is a good movie. There's actually several of those weird 90s movies in the military, like In the Army Now. Is another dumb funny movie.
Army Now. Yeah.
Like there's four, like I think there's 4 good movies there you could pair. Another movie I'd like to review, Remember the Titans. That's a good movie.
That's a good one. That is a good movie.
Oh,
we could bring my father on as a guest host because he loves that movie.
Remember the Titans and Bone Tomahawk. It'll be Alex's dad's special.
But he does love Remember the Titans. He loves that movie.
It's a great movie. Which is a bit surprising. There's a bit more unity in that movie than I'd think he'd be happy with. So, you want to do The Gentleman?
I do. That's a good movie.
I think the best thing to do is wait until I can't remember the fucking title. I know it's called Ungentleman Warfare with Henry Cavill.
Yes, that was his new one that just came out. Yeah,
that just hit digital. It's $25 right now. I'm wagering in the next 2 to 3 weeks it'll be on sale.
Okay.
I say we hold off Gentleman and we do those two since those are 2 of the more modern. Although I also have another Guy Ritchie movie that came out that went under the radar and I got for on sale that it's got Hugh Grant in it. And it came out around the same time as The Gentleman, and just didn't get.
Is it called D&D? Just kidding.
No. Although Hugh Grant has the problem with Hugh Grant is he's a
Wonka?
dick. Like everybody says he's a dick. Like
that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Like he's a good actor and he's funny, but from all reports I've seen, he's a fucking dick.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna give Ready to Rumble. I'm going to review it for what it is, and for what it is, I think it's a solid 7.5. I think it's a dumb, goofy comedy, and if you're looking for a dumb, goofy comedy, Alex is right. You would watch this for the same reasons you consider watching Dude, Where's My Car? Or Beavis and Butthead, for that matter. Or Office Space. It's all the kind of same vibe.
Idiocracy, yeah.
Yeah. It's like a Mike Judge movie that wasn't made by Mike Judge, basically.
Yeah.
You
go ahead.
I'm gonna give it an 8. I liked it a little bit more. But I remember this movie growing up. Like I said, if you are a wrestling fan, you'll notice all the little things they make fun of for wrestling, and you'll enjoy it. If you're not a wrestling fan, you'll still enjoy it. You don't have to be to enjoy this movie. And turn your brain off. I hate when people take these movies and they try and overjudge them. Like, it's a turn your brain off, just laugh movie. That's all it is.
Yeah, very much like if you were going to watch like any of the Adam Sandler movies, same concept. Unless you're watching Click or Punch Drunk Love or that other one. I hated that movie. I hated the ending of that goddamn movie so much. The Gemstones one.
Uncut Gemstones.
Uncut Gems. That's a good movie.
Oh, it's a good movie, but I hated the fucking ending. I hate that movie.
He has one on Netflix I want to review where he's stranded in space.
Yeah, you were talking about that the other day with me.
Yeah, is that out now?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. I think the concept is because he meets a creature. I think the concept is the creature in his head or not? Like,
so it's going to play up kind of like a little bit of the Moon type.
Yeah.
Moon was that'd be another good one.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one.
The Martians and there's just some seriously solid, good space.
It's called Spaceman.
Is it?
Spaceman.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw the trailer for that a few months ago, and I was like, "This is interesting" because it's not a comedy.
No, it's not.
It seems like a pretty depressing fucking movie.
Adventure, drama, sci-fi. Yeah.
Yeah. He does not play a comedic role. If you see the trailer, you know what we mean. I had a point. Oh, next week I think, guys, Dune 2 makes the most sense. Yeah, we'll do Dune.
I think it comes out Tuesday.
Yeah, on HBO. So we'll be doing Dune 2 next week, and then we'll start figuring out after that. We'll try to get better at posting what's coming up and what we're doing. But Dune 2 next week for sure, so get ready for that one.
You done, Giovanni?
Yep. Solid.
Okay,
solid.
For me, For me, I'm gonna go with an 8 as well. Now that you mentioned it about the whole interview process thing, like when they were interviewing the wrestlers, it makes me think about how, like, when I'm watching like the next NXT wrestler or the next star, their next little thing, and how they tell them, no, you got to do it a little more, give it a little more, oomph, and you see these people like putting their character over the top, like stupid fucking over the top,
Well,
and that's what they were doing in this.
I've been fucking with my wife as I've been playing WWE 2K24, and I've been like, just beat Kane in a casket match. She just looks at me like, fuck, shut up. I was sitting over here and I was playing the showcase mode. I was like, that's right, I just suplexed Andre the Giant. And she just looks at me like, fucking loser. Like, just total disdain. I get it.
But definitely an 8. But it is something to watch. It is fun. Turn your brain off, like Giovanni and Matt said.
Yeah,
it's not supposed to be fucking taken as a like gospel fucking comedy.
Yeah, no. If you're watching this movie with like serious intent, you're watching the wrong fucking movie. Like, go watch Iron Claw. If you want just a dumb, goofy comedy, whether it's wrestling or not, this is. And here's the thing: I'd imagine a lot of the people back then that were hardcore fans acted a little bit like these guys too. Like, I would imagine it's not that far removed from a lot of fans' reality of that era.
And if you ever liked anything of David Arquette, you know what you're getting into, because he's not a fucking good actor. No. I mean, not even in his own documentary about when he almost died, he wasn't a good actor for that. But it was a good documentary.
It was a good documentary. I did enjoy that one. I want to get. I'm trying. I don't want to buy it because it's never on sale. But the one on RVD is all about how the concussions have kind of caught up to him, and it was kind of a documentary of like his more recent life of like health and fitness journey and just getting his shit proper.
Didn't he have a wife that like she like had to have her legs amputated or some shit? And
oh god, I don't know. I know Paul McCartney did. I don't know about him. I don't know that he's married.
Well, it's that stripper girl that goes with him on the shows or whatever.
I have to look into it. I don't know. I haven't seen the documentary. I'm sure it'll tell me in there, but it's never on. And I think the only place you could stream it or buy it anyways is Amazon Prime. And okay. I don't buy things on Prime unless I'm using fucking actual Prime. You know what I mean? I don't buy things on Prime Video. But yeah, so I got to look into it, and hopefully it's streaming on like Freevee or some stupid shit. But that's it, everybody. We'll be back next week for Dune 2. Thank you for coming to hang out, Fabian, Julian, Nikki. Butler, I don't really know who you are, and I don't know what that was about, to be honest with you. Thank you for watching.
Thanks for stopping by.
Love to have you back next week for more random, confusing questions. But everybody, have a great night. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. And bye.
With Dune 2. Bye. Bye.